Hi everyone, welcome back to KG Graves. We're still in Ireland and we're at Bruhenny graveyard in Churchtown, Cork. And we're here to visit the grave of the famous actor Oliver Reed. He's an A-lister. Obviously appeared in many movies, I'm sure you know that. More information about Oliver coming up shortly, but as usual give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell.
And sometimes it explodes with excitement. But when you see it lying there just doing nothing at all, then you'll be surprised what it's capable of thinking.
Oliver Reed was born Robert Oliver Reed on the 13th of February 1938 in Wimbledon, southwest London, to parents Peter and Marcia. He was an English actor. As previously mentioned, Oliver is classed as an A-lister, so in this video I have tried to cover as many of his films as I can. I hope it doesn't make it too boring for you, the viewer. Oliver claimed to have been a descendant of Peter the Great, Tsar of Russia. As part of his education, he attended 14 schools. He also claimed he had worked as a boxer, a bouncer, a taxi driver and a hospital porter. He then did his compulsory army service in the Royal Army Medical Corps. Oliver began his acting career as an extra in films. He appeared uncredited in the films Value for Money 1955 and The Square Peg 1958. Uncredited television appearances include episodes of The Invisible Man 1958, The Four Just Men 1959 and The Third Man. He also appeared in the documentary Hello London in 1958. His first break was in a 6-part BBC TV series Golden Spur 1959. He was also uncredited in 2 films in 1959, The Captain's Table and Upstairs and Downstairs, and 4 films in 1960, Life is a Circus, The Angry Silence, The League of Gentlemen and Beat Girl. Also in 1960 he was in The Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll for Hammer Films and The Bulldog Breed. Oliver got his first significant role in Hammer Films' Sword of Sherwood Forest 1960. He went back to small roles for 3 films in 1961, His and Hers, No Love for Johnny and The Rebel. He played in the ITV series It's Cold Outside, which was popular with teenagers, making him an idol for the first time. Oliver's first starring role came when Hammer cast him as the central character in The Curse of the Werewolf 1961. Hammer liked him and gave him supporting roles in The Swashbuckler, The Pirates of Blood River 1962, Captain Clegg 1962, and 3 films in 1963, The Damned, Paranoid and The Scarlet Blade. During this time he appeared in some ITV Playhouse productions, Murder in Shorthand and The Second Chef, both 1962, and guest starred in episodes of The Saint. He also had the lead in The Party's Over, made in 1963 but not released until 1965. In 1964 he starred in the first of 6 films directed by Michael Winner, The System, known as The Girl-Getters in the US. The film was seen by Ken Russell, who then cast him in the title role of the Debussy film 1965. Oliver said this was crucial to his career because that was the first time I met Ken Russell, and it was the first part I had after having my face cut in a fight, and no one would employ me. Everyone thought I was a cripple. He narrated Russell's TV movie, Always on Sunday, and returned to Hammer for The Brigand of Kandahar, both 1965. He later called it the worst film he had ever made for Hammer. He guest starred in episodes of Court Martial. He had a regular role on the TV series R3 1965. Oliver was the lead in a Canadian-British co-production, The Trap 1966. Oliver's career stepped up another level when he starred in the popular comedy film The Jokers 1966. After playing a villain in a horror movie, The Shuttered Room 1967, he did a third with Winner. I'll Never Forget What's His Name 1967, co-starring Orson Welles. He was reunited with Russell for another TV movie, Dante's Inferno 1967. Oliver is probably best known for his part of Bill Sikes in Oliver 1968. It was a huge hit, winning the Academy Award for Best Picture, with him receiving praise for his villainous performance. His next three films in 1969 were The Assassination Bureau with Dinah Rigg and Telly Savalas, Hannibal Brooks, and more successful than either of them was his fourth film with Russell, a film version of Women in Love, in which he wrestled naked with Alan Bates in front of a log fire. Alan Bates being my first one-on-one video in this series. Next was Take a Girl Like You 1970 with Hayley Mills, The Lady in the Car with Glasses and a Gun, also 1970. The following year he appeared in the controversial film The Devils 1971 with Vanessa Redgrave. He made a series of action-oriented projects, The Hunting Party 1971 with Gene Hackman, Sitting Target 1972, a tough gangster movie, and ZPG 1972, a science fiction film. Next was The Triple Echo 1972 alongside Glenda Jackson. Oliver also appeared in a number of Italian films in 1973, Dirty Weekend, One Russian Summer with Claudia Cardinale, and Revolver. He had great success playing Athos in The Three Musketeers, was the lead in Blue Blood, both also 1973. Three films in 1974 were The Four Musketeers, an uncredited bit part in Russell's Mailer, and Then There Were None. His next project with Ken Russell was Tommy, where he played Tommy's stepfather, based on The Who's 1969 concept album Tommy, and starring its lead singer Roger Daltrey. In 1975, Oliver was in Royal Flash, which was followed by a cameo in Russell's Listomania and The New Spartans. 1976 was Burnt Offerings, The Sellout, and The Great Scout and Cathouse Thursday with Lee Marvin. After Assault in Paradise 1977, he returned to swashbuckling in Crossed Swords, UK title The Prince and the Pauper 1977, alongside Raquel Welch. In 1978 he did Tomorrow Never Comes, The Big Sleep, and The Class of Miss McMichael. Oliver returned to the horror genre in David Cronenberg's 1979 film The Brood, and ended the decade with A Touch of the Sun 1979, a comedy with Peter Cushing. After the 1970s, Oliver's films had less success. He did a comedy, Dr. Heckle and Mr. Hyde, in 1980, and in 1981 he was in Lion of the Desert, which co-starred Anthony Quinn. He played a villain in Disney's Condor Man and did the horror film Venom. Oliver was busy in 1983, performing again as a villain in The Sting 2, and appeared in Sex, Lies and Renaissance, also known as Fanny Hill, the Iraqi historical film Clash of Loyalties, Spasms 1983, and Two of a Kind. This was followed by Masquerade 1984, Christopher Columbus 1985, Black Arrow 1985, and Captive 1986. Oliver says he was contemplating quitting acting when Nicholas Roeg cast him in Castaway 1986 as the middle-aged Gerald Kingsland, who advertises for a wife to live on a desert island with him for a year. Oliver was the subject of This Is Your Life in 1986, when he was surprised by Eamon Andrews at Roslyn Park Rugby Club in West London. He was in 4 films in 1987, The Misfit Brigade, Gore, Master of Dragonard Hill, and Dragonard. 4 films in 1988 were Skeleton Coast, Blind Justice, Captive Rage, and Rage to Kill. Most of these were exploitation films produced by the impresario Harry Alan Towers, filmed in South Africa and released straight to video. Oliver was in Terry Gilliam's The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, also 1988, The Lady and the Highwayman, 1989 with Hugh Grant, The House of Usher, 1989. 1990 saw him appear in The Return of the Musketeers, Treasure Island with Charlton Heston, A Ghost in Monte Carlo, Hired to Kill, Panama Sugar, and The Revenger. He returned to horror with The Pit and the Pendulum 1991, Prisoner of Honour 1991 for Russell, and The Severed Ties 1993. Films Oliver appeared in later include Return to Lonesome Dove 1993, Funny Bones 1995, The Bruce 1996, Jeremiah 1998, and Parting Shots also 1998. His final role was in Ridley Scott's Gladiator 2000, in which he played alongside Richard Harris. The film was released after his death, with some footage filmed with a double, digitally remixed with outtake footage. The film was dedicated to him. In addition to his posthumous BAFTA recognition, he shared the film's nomination for a Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by a Cast in Motion Picture with the rest of the principal players. In addition to acting, Oliver released several singles in the popular music vein, though with limited success. These included The Wild One, Lonely for a Girl, 1961, Sometimes Ecstasy, 1962, Baby It's Cold Outside, a duet with Joyce Blair, and Wild Thing, 1992, duet with snooker player Alex Higgins. He also later narrated a track called Walpurgis Nacht by the Italian heavy metal band Death SS. In 1959, Oliver married Kate Byrne. The couple had one son, Mark, before their divorce in 1969. While filming Oliver in 1968, he met Jackie Darrell, a classically trained dancer who was also in the film. They became lovers and subsequently had a daughter, Sarah. In 1985 he married Josephine Burge, to whom he remained married until his death. When they met in 1980, she was 16 years old and he was 42. In his final years they lived in Churchtown, County Cork, Ireland. In 1964 he was in the Crazy Elephant nightclub in Leicester Square and got into a dispute at the bar with a couple of men that ended with him walking away with a dismissive remark. They waited until he went to the toilet, followed him in and attacked him with broken bottles. He received 63 stitches in one side of his face and was left with permanent scarring, and initially thought his film career was over. Oliver supported British military efforts during the Falklands War, and he tried re-enlisting at age 44 in the British Army following the outbreak of the conflict, but he was turned down. In 2013, the writer Robert Sellers published What Fresh Lunacy Is This?, the authorised biography of Oliver Reed. Oliver was known for his alcoholism and binge drinking. Steve McQueen told the story that in 1973 he flew to the UK to discuss a film project with Oliver, who suggested that the two of them visit a London nightclub. They ended up on a marathon pub crawl throughout the night, during which he got so drunk that he vomited on Steve McQueen. Sir Christopher Lee, a friend and colleague of Oliver, commented on his alcoholism in 2014, saying, "When he started, after drink number 8, he got to be a complete monster. It was awful to see." On the 26th of December 1975, while Oliver was interviewed by Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show, Shelley Winters, angered by his derogatory comments he made about feminists and women's liberation, poured a cup of whiskey over his head on camera. He left the set of the Channel 4 television discussion programme After Dark after arriving drunk and attempting to kiss feminist writer Kate Millett, uttering the phrase, "Give us a kiss, big tits." However, Evil Spirits, a biography of Oliver that was written by Cliff Goodwin, offered the theory that he was not always as drunk as he made out, but it was an act. In December 1987, Oliver, who was overweight and already suffered from gout, became seriously ill with kidney problems as a result of alcoholism and had to abstain from drinking for over a year on the advice of his doctor. During the filming of Cutthroat Island 1995, he was cast in a cameo role. Due to his arriving extremely intoxicated, having already been in trouble for a bar fight before attempting to expose himself to a lead actress, Gina Davis, he was fired and replaced with British character actor George Mersell. In his final years, when he lived in Ireland, he was a regular in the one-roomed O'Brien's Bar in Churchtown, Cork, close to the 13th century cemetery in the heart of the village where he would be buried. Oliver died from a heart attack during a break from filming Gladiator in Valletta, Malta, on the afternoon of the 2nd of May 1999. He had encountered a group of sailors from the Royal Navy frigate HMS Cumberland on shore leave in a bar and challenged them to a drinking match. He fell ill during the match and collapsed. Despite efforts at resuscitation by his friends, he died in an ambulance while en route to the hospital. He was 61 years old. The actor, Omid Jalila, who was also in Malta at the time of his death, said during an interview in 2016 he hadn't had a drink for months before filming started. Everyone said he went the way he wanted, but that's not true. It was very tragic. He was in an Irish bar and was pressured into a drinking competition. He should have just left, but he didn't. Having made a number of promises to Ridley Scott prior to filming, including that he was not drinking during production, Oliver worked around this by only drinking on weekends. Co-star David Hemmings was a long-time friend of his, and in 2020 Scott stated, "David Hemmings promised to look after him and said to me upon his death, 'I'm really sorry, old boy.'" In total, Oliver appeared in 94 films and 23 TV shows, quite an impressive achievement. Whatever you might think about Oliver Reed, he was an amazing actor, and like most of these famous people, they have their demons, and drink was his. Let's see where his grave is located.
So there you have it, the grave of actor Oliver Reed. I'm sure you've seen many of his movies, very, very famous. As usual, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Leave me a comment below and let me know which of his films you liked. Thanks for watching, see you on the next one.